feel like a news reporter.
Got a up there.
Got a big old microphone. I'm here with Kyle Rozewski and Jowad Mahmoudi. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
So we had a bunch of questions on the YouTube channel about, oh, I forgot to say, we're here at the Animal Gym. It's Kyle's gym here in Shanghai, China. So we had a bunch of questions from the subscribers on the YouTube channel about switching stances. Now, I fight predominantly orthodox. Occasionally I will switch stances to set up a certain technique. It's an old habit from Taekwondo. If I ever switch stances, it's with a very deliberate reason. Kyle here, he is right-handed, but he fights the southpaw. So Kyle, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I'm predominantly left-footed, so early in my career I got in the habit of southpaw because I want to kick more, and I'm more of a wrestler, so I didn't care if I got caught and taken down. You know, my boxing was behind my kickboxing, so I didn't care if my power hand was up front or not, so I would just start southpaw, just for that big kick mainly to set up. Now I like switching.
Yeah, one thing a lot of people don't realize is being right-handed or left-handed is not all there is. It's a little more complex. There's such a thing as a unilateral mover and a cross-lateral mover. That means right hand dominant and left leg, or left hand dominant left leg. Something modern dancers talk about all the time. Now Jowad here, he fights predominantly orthodox, but he is incredible at switching stances at the right times for the right reasons. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For me, it's mostly about like the fact that when you fight, you should not only fight like in one stance, because if someone, for example, like blitz you, there is like, a lot of aggressive fighter out there, and when like you get blitzed, you want to be able to evade using like, for example, like kind of karate switching stance. Like for example, like when I switch like this, like that, I think it's really important to be able to kick, punch in any situation, going forward, going backwards. So that's why like it's kind of important to get like this kind of footwork done in. That's gonna be able to make you fight in both stance, like you will do some footwork doing in boxing, karate, Thai boxing, like any kind of martial arts, MMA. You don't want to be stuck, just fighting in like stepping like that or stepping like that. You want to be able to be really mobile. Just make the difference between like I guess elite fighters that can adapt and like fighters who are not going to be able to really make it to the top, being able to adapt, like evolution.
Awesome. So I get this question a lot from brand new fighters who are just learning how. A lot of them are right-handed guys who feel really comfortable with their right hand in the lead. Okay, and they're asking me, I know my coach keeps telling me to master the orthodox stance with my left in the lead, but should I practice techniques on both sides? What do you guys think?
Absolutely, you should. I mean, that's just another weapon. I would not go up to Jowad knowing. Look, I would hit him because I don't know who he is. But knowing who he is, I wouldn't want to fight the guy. And especially knowing who he is, I want both my hands to work. So essentially, if I'm going in a stance with him and I want to be orthodox, let's say, I don't want to just one hand behind my back and go. Like, that's ridiculous. I can see both schools of thought being that if my strong hand is my lead one, maybe it can be more active in defense, maybe it can be more active in offense because I have more confidence in this hand. But that being said, if this is my non-dominant hand, becomes my power hand, he's not very afraid of this. I'm not doing anything with it. So you need to work both stances, but you have to have the same output. While one hand will always, on most people who aren't ambidextrous, they'll have one hand that punches harder. My right hand punches harder, but I'm a left-handed fighter. I don't think I have a single left-handed knockdown in my career. Maybe one, but there's definitely something to be said for both schools of thought. I am all for switching, but you have to do it properly, not just something you're doing on a bag or to your shadow or in your head in some imaginary street fight.
What do you think, Jowad?
For me, like kind of the same. Like I think it's important to master like the very basics. Like for example, if you feel good in a stance, like for example, I'm right-handed and I really feel good in the left-handed stance, like you should fight in the in the stance you feel good at it. Like, but then you should be able to learn it slowly. I think first, like I will master the very basics. Having a solid stance where like I can do all my technique, and then as soon as I get to this level, it's important to start implementing like switching my stance a bit slowly to be able to get like the same level of technique on both stance. But first getting like rock solid in like your basic stance, but not the stance that someone want to teach you, the stance that you feel the better at.
All right, we're going to demonstrate a couple of different techniques where you would actually change stance. So Kyle's in front of me, and he's going to take a step forward. As he takes a step forward, I take a step forward with my opposite stance here, of course keeping my guard up. I'll only stay in this southpaw stance for like a split second as I pivot into a strike here, okay? Or maybe he's right here, so from this angle, he takes a step forward, right? But I pivot right back to my stance. Here's another situation I might do this. Maybe I got some distance between me and him, right? He takes a step forward, I step back to set up my tornado kick.
Being that I start left-handed, I'm usually when it's right-handed guys. I like to go outside the lead foot, like most smart coaches tell you. You don't want to walk into his power because these guys are waiting for you. So I have to do like 3 or 4 punches usually and step every time with it. And then when I'm at the angle now, if we were to fight here, I'm now right-handed. I'm orthodox. And this is great for just going to wrestling, bringing your knees in together, or just all-around striking, but I've switched my stance. And then if I feel like it, I can just go back and do the same thing. But I have to be working in an arc, like a pendulum kind of. I can't go linear, straight back and forth. If I just do straight, I'm still in the same stance. If I cheat a little bit, my stance has changed.
Pretty sure that from one more angle?
Yep. So here. And then now when we square up, I'm orthodox. And I can wrestle from there, I can strike from there, whatever. So starting with our stance, we're usually hips are lined up. And then when I get to this side and we're perpendicular, our center lines are still here for my stance to switch. So this one, I'm going to attack wrestling, keeping my head behind. That's the biggest thing too, is if I switch my stance to where I'm right, hand behind him, my head is behind. There's no danger here. If I'm left-handed, I wrestle here, I can get knee, there's tons of stuff in the way in. So that's always a danger of going orthodox versus southpaw wrestling-wise, especially if I just dive in. He's got, especially Jowad, guys like him, yeah, they're just waiting to hit me. So if I can get over here, now there's nothing for me to worry about so much. Like maybe it'll lead me up to my chest, but by that time I'm gonna grab it. So that's my cheat way of getting in wrestling and switching my stance.
For me, maybe this same kind of setup that I use with my legs, like for example here, when I fight someone like who's the same size as me, for example, I'm just gonna go around 1, 2, and then as soon as I connect, I can get my knee, for example. I really like to get like this, like 1, 2, connect, get my knee, or just like when people like blitz, like with aggressive fighters, for example, that's something that's really common. People just like press forward and you have trouble to keep up. I don't just step like that, because otherwise I cannot really create that much distance. So what I usually do is like, as soon as people start to blitz, I just go 1, 2, 3, and I connect, for example, my knee, or I just go for like 1, and I get my high kick. So it's really super important for me to be able to get like this, 1, 2, 3, and connect something. So this setup is great too, like just step back and getting like the lead high kick, for example, on people who get the punch in. On the left right, for example, this is great. I step back and I get my high kick. And people will try to get like this, 1, 2, like 1, 2, I get the high kick. On the other side usually, because they grab the hand when you go like 1, 2, just like this one, like well, first this one, like 1, 2, and on this one I get the high kick usually. When people punch, they always tend to get exposed. Back to the same kind of technique, using like the leg, for example, one leg around, like getting outside to connect with my knee, with my elbow. I really want to try to cancel like this part of his body, and kicking like the base is great. Like I'm just here circling 1, 2, and then I get like, as soon as I get my step, I get my knee, I can get my elbow. And same like when people start to push forward bleeding, just like 1, 2, I can get my knee, for example, or just a very basic, like to counter the right, left, right, for example, like people get the 1, 2, and by stepping back, I can just like whip it with my front leg, like so. And here, 1, 2, and getting the high kick, the middle, the low kick, or even the sweep. It's super easy to just get like 1 and getting the sweep here, or any kind of kicking, punching technique. So that's why it's this kind of circle is great, like to be able to switch from attack to defense. One last, just here, like just like the 1, and getting like the side tip. I love this setup too. Getting switch on the side, working on defense and attack.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Get out there and train.